So I got enough science to build our Eve infrastructure, and this is step 1. This is the communications and mining vessel that will serve as our base of operations as we move into the Eve space. There we go. So now these are all free. They're no longer tethered. And that means we can open up the IR kit, and we can lower all 10 of our arms. Like so. And next off, we want to actually turn on one of these arms and point it at the Super Heavy Relay probe. Now we want to go over to the Super Heavy Relay probe and point it at us. Easy enough. Oh, the game crashed. Well, let's load the game back up.
Hey, I'm really lame! We're failures! Total failures!
Oh, no, come on, you guys. Come on. You put your best foot forward.
I don't even have a foot!
Oh, grab that crescent wrench.
So which one's dead? Is that the open-ended one over there? Okay.
Yeah, thanks for helping your old dad up, son.
There we go.
Alright, so we've deployed all of these tenuous little arms, but we do have an issue, and that is that they are all quite fragile. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually get out and staple them all together.
Big chains for easy grip action.
I think this is the same ramp where Deep Throat met Bob Woodward.
Good job, Dad.
I hate this part.
Lots of horses under the hood.
I hate those little compact car spaces.
You know,
I'll get it. I have to do everything around this lousy cave.
wow, these mountains really make you feel small. Well, look, he's wearing New Balance.
I'm Jim McKay, and this is Great Moments of the Olympics. We'll be right back.
Finally. Now let's go ahead and inflate all of our various inflatable toys. We have a lot of waiting to do. That ought to do. We should have plenty of fuel to do this, there's no rush. We'll just float at, say, 1,000,000 meters. That sounds like a good distance. Okay, so we are in fact out of fuel there. That's fine. Get rid of it. We are on to our final liquid fuel stage, which has basically no thrust, but that's okay. I am a little bit worried about the amount of carbonite we brought. For some reason I thought I was bringing 10,000 and I only ended up with 2,500. I think I better stop here. This orbit is fine. And the reason I want to stop here is because I may have to do some drastic alterations. But let's go ahead and do a tour of this little ship that we've brought along. These are two separate ships. This is a connection arrangement where this lower ship is just a giant battery and a whole bunch of solar cells, because all it needs to do is communicate with the various thousands of people that it will need to communicate with. On the other hand, this upper stage actually has to park on the moon of Gilly and mine, so it's a significantly more complicated ship, as you can see. But we're not ready to separate yet. I'm going to be using the fuel in this Poodle engine to actually get our nodes correct here. Alright, so we have now successfully gotten ourselves into the right alignment. It's just a question of whether or not this much carbonite is enough. Alright, there is absolutely no way that this is going to work out. Well, I've been having a rough time setting up my Eve missions. This mission is actually pretty straightforward. We're just setting up a carbonite miner.
Run! I too almost fell for that foolish trap.
There was a guy named Joe, not too different from you or me.
Yeah, maybe another eye, and perhaps a fin.
Oh, some fins. Okay, gotcha. Okay, Crawl.
We're going to grab that, attach it here. Grab, attach, link. This camera angle is the worst. Finally, the last one. What the hell is with this camera? We're going to be stranding Bill pretty much permanently on a moon around Eve, and it would just be kind of too sad to think about if he didn't have at least a little bit of space to play in. Damn, wrong side.
Pretty neat, huh?
Are you kidding? I thought you were going to go through the roof.
Well, I can't go through the roof. We're in space and all.
We will contact you after you've had sufficient time to accomplish your mission.
Alright, finally we are actually getting towards our target of this moon. Activate this and point it to the carbonite supply probe. So this is the failed first attempt, which couldn't make it to the moon. We got stuck where we were, but that's okay. We'll just take this and point it at the carbonite supply. There we go. We're going to go and start our descent onto the moon. This is going to be a little tricky just because it's annoying. This moon has a very wide radius of not letting you fast forward. That's where we'd prefer to land. It's very quiet. Oh, speaking of which, we didn't get an ideal science kit because I was stymied by the lack of direct connection. Just bad luck there. So it comes when you don't have good satellite connectivity. But one of the things we definitely want to do is deploy all of our anchors. Oh, I've kicked all of the anchors in a funny direction. They really didn't end up staying where I thought they were going to stay. They kind of flew off. How awkward. And now they're above me. Don't know how useful they're going to be. Nice gentle touchdown. Good, good. All of those anchors are starting to hit. We don't appear to be terribly stable. We're anchored. We seem to be stable. It's not the configuration I would have chosen, but I don't really mind as long as we are stable. And you can see that we are drilling out quite a lot of carbonite. So this is our ugly little mining ship, and Bill is going to stay here for the foreseeable future, assuming that we can get Eve to produce some Karborundum. I heard it's on the surface of Eve, but I haven't ever managed to get the detector to work, so we will find out soon. It's time for us to do Mission 3 to Eve. This is originally going to be Mission 2. This is going to be the ship that orbits around Eve and occasionally ducks into Eve's moon and handles all of the fueling.
I have told you, we are conducting important experiments. They are secret in nature.
It's not remaining.
Half-breed, that's all they ever. Hey, what the heck? How do you work an automatic anyway?
There's something weird going on out there, but I can't put my finger on it.
No. I don't know.
Oh, it's Malibu Barbie torture chambers.
Oh, come on, Doc. Did your kid make that thing?
You'll only cause trouble, and my uncle will be killed.
So, we are now in orbit around Gilly, and we can transfer up as much carbonite as we would like. So now we begin the rather lengthy process of transferring carbonite from down there to up here. We want to transfer from the carbonite supply to us. Well, let's transfer up 18,000. And we'll just use a tiny amount of liquid oxidizer and fuel. That's the big advantage of Gilly. It doesn't take any fuel to do anything. Once you are in orbit. Getting into orbit is a huge pain in the ass. Woo, spinning, making me sick. Alright, so now we should have 18,000 carbonite. And we do. So we're going to turn all of that into fuel. The only problem is I don't believe that the carbonite supply... 301, huh? So the carbonite supply doesn't run when it's not in focus. So we need to go down to the carbonite supplier. Here we are. Our ungainly carbonite is... Oh, see? We came down into focus and immediately backfilled all of the mining that we had stored up. So we'll go back out to the Eve orbiter. God, that is definitely going to make me sick. And we are now out of carbonite again. And it's time to go and fill it up by transferring to the carbonite supply. Yep. Until we transfer back up to the Eve orbiter. Now please, stop swinging around in a sickening manner. Oh, that's still sickening. We need to get a couple more shipments. Probably 3. Okay, we're full, so let's go back to the Eve orbiter again, and we'll just keep doing this.
There's going to be trouble, all right. And I don't want you around when it happens.
We simply duplicate him and program his brain to serve our cause.
Well, okay, but don't duplicate my butt.
So now we're completely full on all of the things we need, and that means that it's time for us to move into Eve space rather than Gilly space. And that's pretty straightforward. We just go ahead and boost. It doesn't matter what our orbit is, but we do want to leave it pretty close to Gilly, because otherwise we'll have a hard time coming back to Gilly when we need to refuel. Alright, so our last mission to Eve, or maybe our second to last mission, depending on how things go, is ready. We've arrived here in Eve local orbit, and we're going to land on Eve. The problem is we don't have any way to actually detect Karborundum. Because we don't have any way to detect Karborundum, there's some question as to whether we can mine it at all. But it's supposed to exist on Eve. I just don't know any details. So we're going to try to mine it. If we can't mine Karborundum, all we've got is a useless settlement that produces nothing of value. It's just a bunch of dudes living in the middle of nowhere. I'm not worried about anything other than our Karborundum. Let's go ahead and turn on our Karborundum scanner. It's working. Neat. And we'll just land near these footprints. Perfect. We'll need our legs out too. We're upside down. I don't want to be upside down. Keep spinning and go right side up, please. Why this low frame rate? We shouldn't be getting such a crappy frame rate. 0? Oh no. But it said that it had to be within 500 meters to detect it. Ooh, I like the look of this. I really like the look of this. I think we're gonna do fine. Come on, Theorem and Bob. It's time to make massive breakthroughs in all fields by mining up the rarest thing on any planet anywhere. And then shipping it home. What is your... 0? What? Wait. It was really, really high and now it's all of a sudden 0 again? I can only presume that we landed in a dry spot. But it was really, really high a lot of the time. Does that mean there's like a Karborundum spot like just a little bit to the east? Alright, well let's load. And we'll try a much more aggressive landing farther to the east. Too high. Okay, so it says too high at 8,500 meters. Now you're gonna flip to 0 all of a sudden magically here? Or are we gonna stay nice and high? 0? Alright, well we gotta try again here. So it looks like there's a layer of Karborundum floating in the atmosphere. And now, as we get closer to the ground, as soon as our chutes deploy, it will go back to being 0. This didn't turn out to be of any value to anyone because we're still at 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Well, our previous EVE mission showed me pretty clearly that we needed to have some sort of vehicle to run around and scout EVE's surface, so that's what I've built, and that's what we're going to use.
Right now. Fast, damn it, fast!
Yeah, here I go, vroom.
I like your dress. I could introduce you to the master. My name actually is Roger.
His name is Roger.
There, there, honey. We can have another daughter. And a poodle, too. Yes.
Perfect aim. Look at that. Oh, interesting. Well, we don't need you anymore. Get lost. So we need to turn on our power source, which we do like that, and then we need to turn on our engines, which we do like this. So, what's our carbonite? Too high, huh? So that's 0. We're within the surfaces, we're close enough to actually get that information, but that information is 0 at the moment. Wow, we are so damn heavy. I don't think that that arm is actually telling us anything. I think it's just kind of, it looks like it's just wobbling randomly, so it's not pointing us in any particular direction. We're using up all of our electricity. We're gonna have to land and refuel here. Alright, let's do that now before it gets critical. Whoa, why the hell did we flip? What the fuck was that about? We just randomly decided to flip? Alright, time to load a game, because that's not gonna work, obviously. So last time we just came straight down and there was nothing there. This time let's try going over to the water, which is to the west here. Come on, Roger, let's find us some of the rarest element known to Karborundum. Man, this sure eats through electricity fast. That is a fairly unique response to touching down. Alright, well, let's give it another shot. So there's no carbonite here. I don't see even the slightest sign of Karborundum here. And once again, we're getting a little bit low on juice, so I think it's best if we land this thing. Nope, we flipped. I can't imagine why that happens, but either way, that means that there's nothing there for us. So this time we're not going to try and land at the beach, because apparently there's nothing at that particular stretch of beach. Nope, we tipped. What's up with that? No Karborundum. Whoa! What the hell is that? Let's not go quite that way. Let's go south, like I said. Well, definitely no Karborundum, but I seem to be getting the landings down. Ooh. Well, I've decided to try for that little patch of land in the middle of the crater. I figure if there's any place that the guy who made this is going to want to put Karborundum, it's going to be in a landmark like that. So, this is my attempt to get over to that place and mine some Karborundum. And there's one more thing I can do with this tank of gas before I get rid of it, and that's fill up on snacks, because I accidentally ate all of the snacks in my lander can. Alright, now we're full. Get rid of that. So we've got to turn on all of our engines. Look at Karborundum. Now all we have to do is stick this landing. Stuck it. Let's go ahead and mine some of that Karborundum. Oh, that is beautiful. I found some Karborundum. So this is where we are going to park our actual Karborundum mining machine. Alright, we're full of Karborundum. Okay, so now we're too fat with Karborundum to even get off the ground. Oh, okay. Nope, too fat. So we are stuck here. But I do want to have a Karborundum SSTO for the purposes of crew transfer. That's going to have a different design, apparently. This isn't going to work out, but that's okay. This was never intended to get back off the ground. This is our orbiter, and you can see that there is, in fact, room for plenty of Karborundum. So let's see how much it costs to bring it up. Okay. This is a lot more expensive than I thought it was going to be, which means that it might be worthwhile to see if we can get an SSTO up and running. Maybe I can use the airships. I haven't used them in ages. That might be a fun mod to reinstall. The next step is to create a functioning Karborundum pipeline and bring it back to Kerbal. Okay, so this is our Karborundum mining ship. And it should work. I'm not entirely sure, but we're going to go ahead and give it a shot. Now this Karborundum mining vessel should be able to actually reach the orbital speeds that it needs in order to get away once it's mined Karborundum, but I could only test it on Kerbal. I don't know precisely how well it will fare in the atmosphere here. .33, that's good enough for what we need. Turn them off. We don't seem to have broken. Let's deploy our solar panels. And let's deploy our drills. And let's start mining. So, now the only thing left to do is to try and get back into space. Pull those solar panels back in. Thank you. There we go. And now, let's go into orbit. You are not needed. I'm gonna flip around like a weirdo here. That's fine. Good. We are actually light enough to get off of the ground, and that was the big question. This stuff is a lot heavier than it looks. So let's go ahead and kick it up with some thrusters. Wow, we're not making any headway at all. It'll need a complete redesign. So this is our new mining ship. We're going to be grabbing Karborundum in this and then lifting it back into orbit. At least that's the plan. And now we want to turn on our contraptions. There we go. I turned on our reactors with a key press in case you're wondering why we have a seemingly infinite amount of energy. It's because we have 2 reactors attached to this, and they're both running at full power here. We got 2 things? What 2 things? Don't tell me I forgot to revert one of the ships and now I've got a ship stranded here. I bet I do. Brilliant. This thing controls so well. Perfectly balanced VTOLs are so awesome. We better go check out this thing. I need to determine whether or not I forgot to revert a ship. These air-breathing engines, these electrical air-breathing engines, are just fantastic. They use carbonite rules, which means that they don't use intake air, they use intake atmosphere, and can run just fine on Eve, which makes them obviously the ideal choice for Eve. Oh geez, I stranded some dudes. Ooh, got within simulation range. This might make it a little bit harder. Oh my. This is about half a frame a second. And now it stopped entirely. Wow. There's something wrong. I updated a bunch of mods, and maybe the Karborundum transport is wigging out. No, that's not going to work. Alright, so it's definitely impossible to rescue the Karborundum transport because I can't get within 2.5 kilometers of it.
Come on, move it. I haven't got all day. Now, why is she singing the theme to the $6 Million Man? I don't think it's a good show.
Today is not one of those days where I have a deft touch. Alright, well, we didn't break. Everything is still intact, so that is a victory. We will save. So, here is our drill. Let's deploy it. Let's extract Karborundum. Now, I would love to show you the Karborundum base. I'm going to teleport through the edge here, and you can see that it's just 8 Karborundum tanks in each bay, which gives us lots of room for Karborundum. Enough that I'm not actually sure we'll be able to carry it all. But if I try to open these bays, they'll tear the ship apart, which is not ideal, so we won't do that. So we are going to try and lift off again. Oh, would you look at that? I won't say it's ideal, but it'll do. Now the only question is, we are really heavy. We are at the absolute lifting limit. So the question is, how high can we get like this? We might as well try and reach the absolute peak that we can reach. Okay, we are losing air, so let's take those guys away and turn these guys on. Oh, we're losing speed. That's no good. No, we are at peak and starting to move down. We're just too heavy. I think that the problem is I really can't take this much Karborundum. No, no, no. We're nowhere near being able to get off this planet. I think I just need to lose weight. Well, let's go ahead and see if I can lose some weight here. This will not work. I was trying to break them free. Perfect. Not a chance.
Okay, so I have rebuilt that ship in a different form. So the new ship looks almost exactly the same, except it's got 2 more heavy Karborundum engines and some extra batteries to try and get the weight to work out. It's not quite as balanced, but instead of having 16 tanks, it only has 6, 3 on each of these cargo containers. And having only 6 tanks should make it light enough to actually get out of Eve's atmosphere. Let's give it a shot. Few details. We want to be facing downwards. Oh, fun shadows there. Because that's the way our air blows, and that's going to be important. We also want to be facing forwards, because that's the direction we're going. Oop, wrong button. And we're also going to be wanting to go like this, so that we can get maximum drag. We're going to really be struggling to bring ourselves in under as much speed as possible as soon as possible. The sun is on my screen. I literally can't see anything. Wow, we overshot by a hemisphere.
Oh, wow! Gypsy, that was terrific! It was riveting!
We can actually rescue the people who are stuck there, so that is our hope. Now the only question left for me is whether I can land within 2 kilometers of our target. If I can do that, then I can rescue the Kerbal stuck in there, and then bring him back to Kerbal with me. Alright, so this is us spawning in the Eve scanner launch. And it's not gonna do. The update made these ships do something weird, and now they just refuse to work properly. Looks like I'll have to crash it.
Sad what the mind can do, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to hold you back here, Crow.
Cool. Can I have my same death?
Don't go any closer. Oh, I loaded it in. Shit.
Typical. Oh, hi, you. Bet you're wondering what I'm doing up here.
So, one of the things I wanted to do was rescue Robert. He's stuck over here in this Eve launch ship, so we're going to go over to the Eve launch ship. And as you might remember, this was the ship that, when we tried to load it in physics range, malfunctioned. And you can see why. The update to the mods I was using ended up turning the ship into a non-Euclidean nightmare, and it actually just doesn't function at all. I also can't get Robert out of the tin can. Roger. I can't get Roger out of the tin can. So there's just no way to rescue him, and I'm afraid that Roger is forever stuck in this terrifying, nightmarish non-space. Oh well. Alright, so let's go ahead and take off. We can't see anything out of this cockpit. Who designed this thing? Well, it looks like we're moving fast enough that there, I can hear it. Our engines have started to drop off, and we're going to turn on our rockets, and as our intake air starts to dwindle, we'll be switching over to only 2. and then when that intake air dwindles, we'll turn them off entirely and rely 100% on our jets. Alright, let's go to orbit. This ship has twice as much thrust as the previous ship, and it also weighs roughly 60%, so it's actually possible for us to get into orbit. That was actually an effortless ascent into orbit. That was just breathtakingly easy. If there's one thing I don't want to do with Karborundum, it's put it at the bottom of a gravity well. So we're just trying to get captured, we're not trying to get landed. Alright, so we're now in orbit around Kerbal. The final tally is 1,482 Karborundum. If I want to be able to go back to Eve with this ship, I'll need to leave around 482 Karborundum. So, 1,000 Karborundum profit from this trip. On the downside, everyone's starved, but I guess I could stand to lose some weight. The ship's containers, these cargo bays, they hold 3 Karborundum tanks each. The weight balance is right here in the middle, and that means that as the tanks filled up, they filled up evenly on both sides, and we never had any imbalance. I'm not going to be landing this ship in the foreseeable future, but I will have to launch myself some rescue vehicles. So the first thing I've got to launch is something which can take Karborundum off of this ship. After that, I've got to launch something which can rescue everyone. I've got lots and lots of astronauts at Eve, and they're all very hungry. So, that's our next goal. This is the orbital ship we're creating in order to just act as a Karborundum containment unit as well as a general purpose snack container. We're coming up to the end of the jet's useful period of life, so we're going to turn on the rockets. Oh good, someone's decided to hammer some metal next to my window. So this heavy cargo lift ship, I think that this might be broken. I think that the turbofans might be too powerful. Or maybe it's just that the reactor is too powerful. Because they do suck down a lot of electricity, but the reactor produces so much. This ship is now ready to serve as a hub for our Karborundum. But it needs to be refueled because we don't have enough liquid fuel to fetch the Karborundum. So this is our old model Carbonite acquisition starship. This was what was our... God, he's fucking loud. This is our original Carbonite starship, where we were just scooping Carbonite, and it's got Jeb in it, and it's capable of getting all of the Carbonite we need and converting it over into fuel. We've done that, so let's go ahead and ship that fuel over to people who need it. Literally any second now. There we are. So now we've shipped it over, and it's time for us to deorbit. This ship is far too large and annoying, and now it's out of its supply base, and it serves no purpose. Let's go ahead and get ourselves Jebediah back, and therefore Jebediah can pilot the rescue mission. Eject. You've lived there for about 3 years now, Jeb. 3 years in a tiny capsule. I didn't even give you any living space because I hadn't researched it yet. It is too dark to see anything on my screen. That sounded like ocean. So, Jeb, welcome home. Cool. Looks like it's working okay, and that means that we are ready to fetch some Karborundum.
I was holding this hoping that I'd have a bigger haul by spring.
There is more now. A lot more.
So now we are half full, which is plenty. We don't need any more Karborundum in the near future. So our next step is to deorbit the Karborundum mining jet ship, which is a good thing to do because right now the person on board hasn't eaten in roughly a year. So we left just enough Karborundum to actually finish our maneuver, which is just to deorbit. Oh dear, where are we? We are orbiting... I got that backwards. I completely forgot that we were going westward, not eastward. So I just totally dropped the ball. I really don't want to land in the dark. This ship is a really, really excellent piece of work. It works too well. It works so well that it makes the mods that I'm using feel broken. Can you believe how powerful this ship is? I went the wrong way and then returned to space in order to land where I wanted to go. That's a hell of a correction to just be able to say, okay, well, let's go ahead and make that correction. Well, close enough. Welcome back, Camwise. A perfect mission. So my next mission is going to be to rescue all of the people I put on Eve, except for the one poor guy that got trapped in a non-Euclidean nightmare space. Alright, so after a long trip, as a station keeper, Jebediah is now ready to rescue everyone who's stuck on Eve. We built this massive infrastructure around Eve, and it turns out that we didn't need any of it because we didn't end up having to use carbonite. Instead, we used these fan engines, which are radically overpowered. And now we are out of air. 30,000 meters is roughly our cap. There we go. Perfect. We reached orbit with just a tiny amount of fuel to spare. The next step, we are going to get rid of this nasty support structure. Ditch. Very pretty spinning rotors as it descends back towards... Actually, it's going to orbit forever, so it's a new art installation. So, we need to fill this guy up with some Karborundum. So this is the final layout of the ship we're going to be using to rescue people. We've got loads and loads of snacks, but we have to go and get everyone. Look at all of those reds over on Eve. Everyone's starving. So we're going to need to fetch them. And to do that, we're going to need some Karborundum. Karborundum. So our Karborundum is incoming. There it is. Oh. Activate those. Oh, and I just activated all of our parachutes. It's not going to matter, but it's kind of annoying that I did that. And that took 14 out of 1,400, so we just burned 1% of our fuel.
I got a choreographer, that's a good sign.
So we are now in our correct space. It's time for us to go ahead and grab all of these people off of their various places of residence and bring them home. Gotta remember to rig up my solar panels so that I can close them with a button press next time. That is low enough. We aren't going to be descending to the surface of Eve and rescuing Roger there, because his ship turned into a weird pan-dimensional non-Euclidean space of doom. So he's stuck. Our first step will be this low-orbiting vehicle here. This one was never intended to have a person on it. There shouldn't be anyone on that vehicle, but unfortunately, due to a miscalculation, it has been stuck in orbit with a person on it since the very beginning, so he's probably getting hungry. This ship will remain in service even once we have removed the person from it. It'll be a permanent communications satellite that we'll be able to use in various capacities as we need them. This is the very first system we sent up, and this was supposed to be 2 different ships, but we weren't in an orbit where this ship could actually land on the moon of Eve, so it never managed to detach. Our next stop is the orbit of the moon. We're not going to be landing on the moon next, we're going to be intercepting the Eve orbiter, which is almost the exact same orbit as the moon. Switch over to that ship. This is a pretty swanky ship, too. Looks like a space squid from this angle. Alright, our last stop is the moon, Gilly. I am so glad this is the last time I'll ever have to deal with this obnoxious little planetoid. Now the key here is that we are not going to fly down to the planet and pick this guy up. Instead, we're going to have him fly up to us. The difficult thing in this case is to remember we have these 10,000 anchors. So what we have to do is we have to pop open the GUI here, and we need to release all of these anchors. I might just get this thing into an orbit and then rescue it with a rescue craft, because it is quite an unwieldy ship. We still have more waiting to do. Oh, this planetoid is really obnoxious. Gilly, your obnoxious field of anti-time mystifies and annoys me.
I think it's a wonderful idea.
What the? Hey!
Marshall, Oracle will be the hit of the Western Dime now.
Alright, this is the last rescuable person. Oh, so our next step is to leave. We need to go back to Kerbal. Oh, this is still painful. I'm done with this moon. Finally. So in the end, we used up exactly 200 Karborundum, 198 so far, and then we'll spend the last 2 getting back to the planet's surface. We don't want to burn the other 1200 for no reason. I do want to pull 1200 Karborundum out of that vehicle and store it, because it's hard to get. The next step is to grab that Karborundum.
Boy, it's really blue out today.
Perfect. And spend the last of our Karborundum going home.
into the dawn. One last explosion to celebrate our landing. Recover the vehicle. There's only one little detail left, and that's to bid Roger a farewell. I'm sorry, Roger, but you are now in a null space. You have been eaten by the Kraken, and you cannot be rescued. Goodbye, Roger. I'll miss you.